Hi, I'm Tim. Welcome to our channel and thanks for logging on. Today we're discussing the Lange Sohne Datograph. The original reference 403.032. You can see and you can purchase this flyback chronograph hand-wind from Saxony on our website. Subscribe to our YouTube channel if you enjoy these videos, and please click on the card in the upper right hand corner of the screen at any time during this video to see our full sales listing for this datograph with additional accessories included in the sale, high resolution images for your desktop, and naturally complete pricing details for this 39mm rose gold column wheel chronograph. Now on my wrist, 6 1/3 inches, 16 centimeters in circumference, you can see that the original 1999 datograph case profile is a beautiful match for those with traditional tastes. At 39mm, it's neither oversized nor undersized. It's a contemporary men's dress watch that is not ostentatious. It's actually thinner than it appears. 13mm thick from the top to the very bottom of the case. Because the case back is cupped, and you can see that to good effect here, it nestles down into the wrist when you strap it down, so it actually measures less than 13mm tall on the wrist. Now you can see with the generously domed sapphire and bezel, a dress cover tight sleeve easily slides up and over this watch. From lug to lug, it has compact dimensions, 48mm from extremity to extremity. In my estimation, you could wear this watch on a wrist down to as small as 14 centimeters in circumference with security, style, and proportion. Now, it does have a satisfying heft to it. There's something magical about the pull of a precious metal watch on the wrist that you just can't get from ceramic and titanium or even steel, so it's quite a pleasure to have a discreetly sized watch with so much mass to enjoy. Now, the strap is very traditional, centrally bolstered, dark brown, rectangular scale alligator leather with a monotone stitch and folded flanks. It's paired with a beautiful Lange pin buckle. This is the buckle that they use that has a clever retaining bar inside, so if you do buckle it down on a small wrist, like mine for instance, and you're in one of the last perforations, the strap won't pin itself down at the base of the ardion, so this retaining bar actually prevents the strap from being tightened too tightly such that you can't extricate it from your wrist. Thoughtfully designed, it speaks to the attention to detail lavished on every square millimeter of this watch. Now you'll note that the case finish is incredibly handsome. All of high polish, nevertheless it does have some character lines to break up the mass of the gold, as well as beautiful bevels about the flanks of the lugs themselves being more sensuous and complex when viewed from the side, with their step where they abut the case, than they appear when viewed from directly overhead. Now the watch has a dial that's become iconic. Sub-registers dropped just below the cannon pinion, Roman numerals and baton indices applied in rose gold, the outsized date, which is almost as pleasurable to operate with its push-button adjustment as the chronograph itself. And you can see that the tachymetric scale outboard of the hour and minutes tracks is stepped up to add another focal plane, more depth to the dial, and of course gorgeous rose gold windows surrounding the apertures for the date. Now turning the watch over, you can see the caliber, the famous L951.1 that powers the entirety of the watch. You'll note the traditional finishing trademarks of a Lange Sohne. First, although it's covered by a chronograph mechanism, you can see the 3/4 bridge outline below the works. You can see the gorgeous glasuta stripes, because we're not in Geneva, we're not even in Switzerland here. We're speaking German, and we're using the appropriate nomenclature for these stripes, which are locally named. Hand-engraved balance cock beneath a black polished swan's neck regulator. That's hand engraving in every Lange caliber. Each balance cock engraved with the signature of the artisan who creates it. There's only about 6 or 7 at any given time, and their signatures are each unique. Now you'll note the use of chaton, 3 screws each, holding jewels in place. This is an old tribute to Lange's heritage as a pocket watch manufacturer before the communist collectivization of watchmaking in the 1950s. You'll also note that the bridges have a gorgeous golden hue to them, and this is what's known as German silver. It's a combination of nickel, copper, and zinc, and so it has a richer, deeper hue, and it's completely unplated, unlike the rhodium-plated brass, which looks quite silver in traditional Swiss movements. There's a tight and even perlage across the base plate. You can see it at the base beneath the bridges, and there's also a gorgeous sort of duality in the treatment of the screws. Those that are used for actual assembly are blued. Those that are used for adjustment of the mechanism are polished. It's the inverse of how Zenith uses screws, in which case Still beautiful, just different, and this is a cue to the watchmaker as to how to use the screws for adjustment. There's a beautiful capped column wheel, and this is a traditional lateral clutch column wheel chronograph. Let me show you to good effect why you would want to have a lateral clutch rather than a more modern vertical clutch system. It's because, frankly, you can see the entirety of the mechanism in action. You can see the chronograph clutch moving in and out, contacting the chronograph center wheel, and then drawing itself away as the wheel stops. You can literally see the action of every single member of the chronograph drivetrain and engagement train, from the pusher to the chronograph driving wheel, which is driven off the fourth wheel of the movement. 36-hour power reserve, traditional 18,000 vibration per hour beat rate, beautifully rendered. And yes, it is a flyback chronograph, such that you can quickly reset and restart it with a single push of the trigger. If you've heard of the famous butter smooth datograph chronograph action under the finger, trust me, it's everything it's reputed to be. It's even quite practical, featuring fully loomed and beautifully delicate alpha style hands in rose gold at center, so you can see this consummate dress chronograph even in the dark. In fact, you can see and you can purchase it on our website.